All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we actually got rising star within the hip hop community. We got Washington's own, man. We got the one and only. We got Pive right here, live on the line. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man. Happy Easter to you and your listeners, and blessed for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Hey, man, you are most certainly welcome, and definitely happy Easter. Happy Easter to you guys as well out there. I have to ask, how is your Easter weekend going, man? I gotta say, I don't know about out there in Washington, but it's beautiful out here in Canada.
Yeah, we've been kind of having like a rain-snow mix lately, and then now it's starting to warm back up again.
I hear you on that, man. We actually had a little bit of a snow scare actually last night. We had a little bit of a 5-minute miniature blizzard, man. I was getting really scared for a minute, man. I was dreaming of beaches, and then I saw the snow, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt the other day. We had like a couple inches, and then it warmed up and melted by the end of the day.
But Pive, I know you're a busy guy, man, so I'm going to dive right into this interview, man. But I want to take you back to the beginning of your amazing career this far, man. And I have to ask, what originally made you decide to pursue a career within the music industry initially?
So when I was about 10 years old, my mom bought me a keyboard, and I just started playing around with it. And at that time, my first ever rap CD was Nelly Country Grammar. And so right after that, I just fell in love with hip-hop and the beats and everything about it, the message. And so it just kind of snowballed for there. So, and I've been rapping for over 20 years. But last year, I dropped my debut album.
And if you don't mind me asking, man, and I do know that you probably got asked this a lot already, but what actually made you decide to finally release a project after 20 years?
I think the main thing was, my younger years, I got addicted to drugs. I was homeless for a little bit, but I never stopped writing or rapping or making beats. And so, after I got out of all that shit, I got married, got my life together, and, after COVID hit, it just kind of made me realize if you really want to pursue this and want this to be your dream, then you need to make it reality right now. And that's pretty much how it happened.
And I gotta say, man, congratulations on your sobriety first and foremost, man. But I gotta say, music is definitely another kind of drug that's highly addictive, man. But it's definitely a positive one.
Yeah, for sure. I'm right now. I'm addicted as it can be as far as my music goes, and just music in general.
I definitely agree, man. Me personally, man, whenever I got a first taste of the music industry, man, I couldn't get enough, man. I definitely loved it. But obviously, some people don't like the music industry, man. It's not for the faint of heart, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, there's a lot of shady people out there. But if you trust your gut and just work through it, I think it could work for everybody. You might not get to the level that you want to be at, but as long as you're making music and it's making you happy, that's good enough for me. Whether I keep blowing up, as long as I'm happy making the music, then I'm okay.
But also, as well, as you mentioned a few moments ago about your debut album that was actually dropped on July 23rd of 2021, it's actually a 10-track album that's phenomenal, by the way. That's actually titled I Will Forever Be. I was wondering if you can actually tell us the in-depth story pertaining to your first solo debut album, and of course, where can we actually buy or stream ourselves a copy of that project today?
So, I Will Forever Be, it was basically almost me telling myself and telling the world that I will forever be this person and this artist, and pretty much not going back to what I was doing. So I actually started recording it in January of 2021 and got the 10 tracks down about May. And so it snowballed real quickly from there as far as, I don't have a label or management, so I was reaching out to radio stations, I was reaching out to the media, and getting everything set up, and it blew up. It blew up enough to where I'm starting on my follow-up that's coming out August 19th. And so I'm super excited about that. It's been a blessing how quickly it's gone, because it hasn't even been a year yet.
And I gotta say as well, man, it's such a phenomenal project. The one song that I personally enjoy off that project is actually Rap Slayer. I don't know, I love that joint off your new record.
Oh yeah, man, I appreciate that. Yeah, that was a super fun record, and such a different beat too than what you hear with most mainstream artists or even independent artists. That's one of the reasons I fell in love with that beat.
And also as well, man, because I'm going to dive right into it, because I know you just mentioned you actually have a follow-up project coming out soon. I have to ask, man, because I do know it's currently in production and whatnot, man, so you can't drop too many gems of it, man. But if you don't mind me asking, from what you're allowed to speak about and what you have already done, what can our listeners actually expect from this up-and-coming project this summer?
So it's called I Will Forever Be Act 2, and actually the first 6 tracks are already out. So after I dropped my debut album, I wanted to because it was my debut album, I didn't want to just have 10 tracks out there and that was it and I'm going to disappear for a while. So I went right back into the studio before even my debut album dropped and started recording for the follow-up album. And so me and my producer, Sherm, we decided it would be best if I just dropped the first 6 tracks, once every month, and that's what I did pretty much to the end of the year. But I got some exciting, I got to meet some exciting people along the way. I went down to Kansas City this past January to work with Jerry Robinson and his artist, Rose the Mermaid. Our track Unforgivable is out right now. I think it's playing on your radio station. So I'm super excited for this album. So August 19th is when the follow-up comes out.
And also as well, man, that song that you did do with Rose the Mermaid, we do actually got that in the radio station's rotation, and that actually dropped to the public March 18th of 2022. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about that collaboration, and of course, what is the story behind that, man, and just being able to work in the studio and collaborate with Jerry Robinson's artist.
Yeah, it's probably one of my most surreal experiences so far as the music and music industry goes. But when Jerry dropped his album, The Name Is Not Important, in September of 2021, I randomly came up on my feed, and there was a song called Scars in My Mind that I fell in love with. And I don't know, I reached out to him on Instagram and said how dope it was. And he reached back, he goes, he really appreciates that. And then I found out that he made the beat himself. I was like, holy shit, dude, this guy's incredible. And so we started chit-chatting, and I was chit-chatting with his manager, Tara Ennis. And then I found out that he had another artist named Rose the Mermaid, and her 2 singles were out, Tides and Currents. And that was another thing I found out, that he made those beats as well. And I was like, oh my God, I got to work with these people ASAP. So I flew down to Kansas City, recorded Unforgivable, and then a song that hasn't came out yet that's featuring Jerry Robinson. And me and Rose gelled right away as far as the lyrics and what we were going for. And it was kind of weird because I had already written my lyrics for that song, and then she did her hook and her third verse, and it blended perfectly. Like there was no need to change or anything. So that's one of my favorite songs so far.
And also as well, I actually saw a newspaper article, man, with yourself, Jerry, and Rose the Mermaid together posing for a picture in the studio, man. And I have to bring this up, man, because a lot of individuals, they have to work a decade, 2 decades of just putting out consistent music just to have the opportunity to share the same room, let alone studio, with an individual that is signed to Tech Nine's Strange Music. So I have to ask, man, what was that experience like, being your first full year into music, sharing the studio with someone like Jerry Robinson?
Man, I honestly don't have any words. I would tell you just personally from getting to know Tara, his manager, and FBA and Rose and Jerry, they're the most humble people. They don't, Jerry doesn't act like he's a superstar or a famous person. He treated me like I was just a fellow musician who loved making music. So it made it that much easier. But I think for me personally, I've been on MTV Next. I've been, this is 50 Cent's website wrote about me in January for one of my songs called The Greats. I love that, and I'm glad that's happening, but I didn't think I could rock with the very best of them until I was in the studio with Jerry and Rose. So for me personally, I didn't care about the publicity or any articles or who was writing about me. It was when they said, "Yeah, we love your music. We would love to work with you." That's when it became more of a reality for me. And personally being there and watching him do his thing and Rose do her thing, and then I'm doing my thing.
And I gotta say as well, man, I actually had the opportunity to interview Jerry Robinson a few weeks back, man, and he's such a phenomenal individual, man. Very nice and humble guy, man. Definitely a cool guy to talk with.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. He just made me feel. He made me feel like I was part of the family already.
And also as well, man, you actually released a song titled "The Greats" that actually paid homage to hip hop legends. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this release, and of course, what sparked that idea to create such an influential song.
So, for me, every artist that I name on there influenced my music one way or another for when I was writing for the past 20 years. So it was basically telling them, like, look, I know the hip hop game right now is kind of fucked up, but here's someone out here that remembers you, knows what you did for hip hop, knows you're still trailblazing right now, and I'm basically giving them a shout out to them. And personally saying, I pray one day I can be as great as you.
And the one thing I have to ask, I know this is probably a cliche type question, man, but listening to that song, man, you can really tell you're very influenced by the older generation of hip hop, by the pioneers and the legends. What are some of the artists growing up that really made you actually want to just be like, you know what, man, listening to that artist made you want to be, man, I need to pick up this mic and actually do this? That really fueled you.
Oh yeah, man. Tupac was crazy to me. Like his song Changes and I Ain't Mad at Ya. He didn't. Tupac was probably one of the first and Nelly, but Tupac he didn't have to go bar or crazy cadences. He would just tell you a raw story, and it would just be phenomenal. And that's the type of music that I want to make, which is timeless music. So Tupac, Nelly, Eminem, 50 Cent, Obi Trice, Tech Nine. I will have to tell you, Tech Nine, even to this day, is probably one of the hardest people for me to study because he's so fast and he's so good. So there's a song that I got that's on this coming up album that's out right now called Better Than You. And I call him Mr. Miyagi, and I'm Daniel LaRusso. But I said it on purpose because he's trying to teach you something, but you don't understand it. So to me, that's like Mr. Miyagi in the movie The Karate Kid. I might get it one day, but at the moment, I don't know what this guy is saying. He's just phenomenal and great at what he does.
And I gotta say, man, give it time. I can definitely see yourself and Tech Nine sharing the studio, man. Because after all, you're only 1 year in, man, and you already worked with one of his artists, man. So I would say give it a year or another year, man, and you'll definitely be sharing that studio with the one and only Tech Nine.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. It's not for me. It's not necessarily a priority, but if I get the opportunity, it would be one of the greatest days of my life. But there's so many artists that I want to work with. I mean, there's King ISO, there's Table the Truth, there's, I would love to do a song with Obi Trice, even though he doesn't really rap anymore, because that was the generation that I looked up to.
I definitely agree with Obi Trice, man. Such a phenomenal artist. I really hope he'd actually bring out another full-length album, man. I still think he has it in him, man.
Oh, I think so too. His Cheers album was just a classic. My favorite song on there is Never Forget You. And that beat is, I get pissed sometimes because I'm like, oh, I wish I had that beat. I wish I was the one that had that beat.
But also as well, man, excuse me, sorry, you also have been featured on, like you mentioned before, This Is 50, but also MTV and others. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about those experiences, and of course, how does it feel to be just 1 year in and actually be featured on some of the biggest music media outlets in all of the music industry?
It's hard. It's almost been kind of a fog to me when it comes to any press or anything like that. Uh, but I think with MTV Next and This Is 50 and Hip Hop Weekly, it was for me. It was just another validation that I was meant to do this. I have a voice. I have a message, and people are liking it. And, even though I don't have millions and millions of streams or anything like that yet, but, those articles, show the world that I'm dead serious about my craft and that, I'm coming. I mean, I think the day when I started, I go, I want to be a monster in this game. I don't want to be just a hip-hop artist like everybody else.
And I gotta say as
I don't
well,
want to fit into one form either. I want to be my own person.
and I gotta say, man, MTV is such a phenomenal outlet, man, because, a lot of people sometimes they might not think they're very music oriented, man, but their website still gets millions upon millions of views per day.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was pretty nuts, and even the article itself. When that went live, I almost had to pinch myself to say, is this real? Is this not real? Is this really happening?
But also as well, man, April 14th of 2022, you actually released one of your most recent singles titled Love Castaway. I was wondering, what is the inspiration behind this phenomenal track? And of course, where can we actually buy or stream ourselves a copy of that single today?
So it's available on 30 different music platforms. I think it's every music platform that's out there. And then I also dropped the music video too. But that particular track was me conveying and thanking three women that changed my life over the course of, pretty much since fourth grade. And some of them seeing me, at my lowest moments and still being there for me. And then the third verse is actually about my wife and just thanking her and telling her that I'll protect her at all costs, no matter how big I get.
And also as well, I actually noticed that you actually have some visuals for that video as well. Is that video actually officially out on YouTube? And if so, can you tell us your YouTube channel? That way our listeners can subscribe, hit that bell, and of course, view your brand new music video.
Yep, just search YouTube, Pive Love Castaway, or just capital Pive, and I'll pop up right away. And there's all my music's on there.
And also as well, man, immediately following this interview, I'm actually going to be playing a song that you released April of 2022 titled Respect My Region. For the listeners that are new to the station that might not have actually heard this song already in rotation, what can they expect from this song when I play it right here on 97.7 FM?
It's a very West Coasty beat, but I want to make sure people understand the message that I'm trying to convey. Basically, I'm telling everybody, I'm not going to rep my city. I'm going to rep the people of the region and the people of the world. For me, I don't care the ground I walk on. I care about my fellow human being that's by me. And that whole song goes into, when I was bullied as a kid, addiction, when I was homeless, and how it was the people of the region that saved me, not the city.
And I have to ask, man, because obviously, you've done so much in 1 year. I have to ask this, man, what is some great advice you can actually give just some inspiring artists that actually want to grow their career to such a different level, just like you have done in 1 year? Like, what's some great advice you can give these youngsters?
I would tell them, don't give up. You're going to get your ass kicked. You're going to fall on your face. You're going to meet some shady people. You're definitely going to need to invest in your craft and your music. Unfortunately, with the music industry, you can't just drop a song on Spotify and think it's going to blow up. You're going to have to market it. You're going to have to, if you believe in your music and you think it's good enough, reach out to blogs, reach out to playlist curators. It's a lot of work, and to be honest, I'm exhausted for what I've done the past year, and I'm still going. But if you believe in your music, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. Just go do it. And I know that's hard for some people because, the situation that they might be in, but just keep reminding yourself that you have that dream out there and you need to go grab it.
But I have to ask, man, what is next for yourself, Pive? Is there anything we happen to miss during tonight's interview? Anything else you do still want to talk about or promote? Well, we still got you here live on 97.7 FM this evening.
So other than my sophomore album coming out August 19th, which is I Will Forever Be Act 2, we're planning some release shows, some live shows in the summertime, mainly around the Pacific Northwest region, but I'm going to try to reach out to a couple other places. And then I actually have I Will Forever Be Act 3 that will come out in 2023. And then I'm actually already contemplating and picking the beats for the next follow-ups after that too. So to be honest, I'm just going to keep going and going and going and going. I'm gonna be one of those artists that at least drops once a year, if not more. Because me writing and rapping for 20 years and not actually putting it out there, I got too much to say. And for me, not enough time. There is enough time, but it's just my mindset that I just need to go.
And I gotta say as well, man, I'm definitely excited to actually see what is next for you actually in these coming years, man. Because I gotta say, you are definitely one of the artists that's really individuals are really gonna have to look out for, in my personal opinion, man. Because you are on fire.
Hey, man, I super appreciate that. I absolutely, man, I love it. Thank you.
But also, man, this is the time in the interview quickly that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves. Just a chance to give shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to, but most of all, your social media handles. That way our listeners can pull out their phones and follow you all across the board.
Yep, so you can go to Instagram.com/Pive I Will Forever Be, www.PiveIWillForeverBe.com, Facebook.com/Pive I Will Forever Be. Shout out to, I have family that's in Canada, actually. Some are from Lethbridge. I have a few that live in Creston, British Columbia. Shout out to them. I love you guys. I can't wait to see you guys in the summertime. And yeah, man, thank you.
I gotta say, man, you are most certainly welcome, but thank you for just giving us a bit of your time on this Easter Sunday, man, and just chopping it up with not only myself, but the Canadian FM dial this evening as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope your listeners have a rest of a good day.
Hey, man, you as well, man. Happy Easter to you and yours, and hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon.
Absolutely.